Hi, I'm your host Swapnil Bhartia, and welcome to the special edition of TFR Let's Talk for KubeCon North America. And my next guest is once again Lucas Gently, CEO of Loft Lab. Lucas, first of all, we talked about KubeCon earlier also. You folks are participating, but this event is both virtual and in person. So, first of all, tell me about how you or Loft Lab is participating in the upcoming KubeCon North America.
Yeah, definitely. The hybrid format adds a little bit of complexity there for everybody attending as a company. Four of us are going to be there in person. We're going to have a booth in person. I'm going to give a talk as well. That will also be in person. But due to the hybrid format, the talk will also be live streamed, and we also have a virtual booth with other team members working on the virtual booth. And obviously will be available in the CNCF Slack that they set up for KubeCon. So it's going to be interesting how the true virtual hybrid combination fans out. But I'm really excited to have the in-person component again for this first post-COVID KubeCon.
One thing that I like the hybrid event, first of all, I broke my leg, so I am not able to attend it. So being hybrid, I will be able to attend it remotely. Second is that because of this COVID, a lot of countries, from Asia, from Europe, a lot of people cannot attend. Even before COVID, I do know a lot of people who could not travel because of visa, because of kids' school, because of family issues. So hybrid allows them to be able to attend the events that they, and sometimes 2 or 3 events happen at the same time. So I actually do see a lot of benefits of hybrid events. What are your thoughts? Because your team is spread across the globe.
Yeah, I see a lot of benefits in having the virtual component, and I also think it's going to be, here to stay, even post-COVID, because it really allows a lot of more people to attend. But even right now, it's really, really important to have that. My CTO, for example, is based in Germany. We have, employees in Eastern Europe, in India, pretty much all over the place because we're building a distributed team. And it's really hard for them right now. It's impossible to attend a conference because they just can't enter the United States at this point. So it's really important to have that live component where they can still participate, watch the talks, engage with the community, just on that virtual platform and via Slack. And I think CNCF is really doing a good job in kind of unifying those two things. And I'm really excited for this hybrid conference to come up.
Tell me a bit about how are you participating? Are you delivering any talk, participating in panel, any sessions? Talk about your participation in the event.
Yeah, so my talk is about beyond namespaces and about virtual clusters and how they can be the future of Kubernetes multi-tenancy. It's a really interesting talk that's going to be centered around our new open source project, vCluster, which recently became a certified Kubernetes distribution. And I think that's going to make it very, very interesting for a lot of folks because it's a very new project and they may not have heard about vCluster or may not have had any hands-on experience. And in this talk, we'll really dive into the different use cases for vCluster and virtual clusters in general, really, and how they can improve, operators' workflows when, managing Kubernetes in a multi-tenant way.
Who is the target audience for this talk? Or in other words, who should attend your talk?
It's definitely more of an advanced topic for sure. If you're a Kubernetes beginner, it may be a little hard to, understand that concept of running Kubernetes inside Kubernetes. Of course, if you're going to our README or our website, it's pretty straightforward with like 2 lines of code to spin up a virtual cluster. But, the actual use cases are really more advanced use cases when you have like hundreds of users in a shared Kubernetes cluster. You're setting up pipelines that deploy thousands of times per week to a Kubernetes cluster, and they need these isolated environments. So it's definitely more advanced users, typically, larger organizations and platform teams that want to enable their engineering organization to work in shared multi-tenant Kubernetes clusters.
Can you talk a bit about vCluster or any other technology that you're presenting at the event is, what are the immediate benefits that the folks who are watching this interview, that they see that they should go and listen to your talk as well?
Yeah, vCluster is a new approach towards how to segment a Kubernetes cluster. Uh, right now, most folks use namespaces to really isolate workloads, but namespaces are essentially just a prefix for names, right? So that you prevent colliding names across a larger Kubernetes cluster, right? Just imagine you have an application, and for each pull request, you stand up some kind of review application. If this application has a database component and that's called database, then you could only stand it up once because the names would be colliding. That's why we're using namespaces. You could now have a pull request 1 namespace and a database in it, and pull request 2 and a database in it, and they would not be colliding. But that's pretty much the level of isolation that namespaces offer per se. Of course, there are constructs that you can build on top of that, which isolate namespaces more and more. But virtual clusters is really taking this to the next level. It essentially allows you to spin up a Kubernetes cluster, an entire fully functional Kubernetes cluster, that is very, very lightweight and easy to spin up inside another Kubernetes cluster. That means you have a separate control plane. That means you have a separate API server, a separate data store. The only thing that the virtual cluster does not have is a scheduler, because it's using the scheduler of the underlying cluster to actually start the containers and spin up these pods that you're creating. So the workloads will run in the underlying cluster, but everything regarding deployment, CRDs, etc., lives in your virtual cluster. So it's really easy to spin that up, and it's really, really easy to clean it up again, because you can just dispose that virtual cluster and everything's gone, which is a really interesting concept when you're thinking about these ephemeral environments. And yeah, everybody should really look into this, especially if they are working with CRDs and operating larger clusters.
Excellent. Thanks for explaining that. Now let's go back to your talk. If you can tell me what are the key takeaways that attendees will walk with after listening to your talk, whether in person or virtual?
Yeah, I think the concept of virtual cluster is very, very new. So this talk is not supposed to dive into all the configuration, options, and you're really, getting into the weeds of what you can do with vCluster as a technology. It's more of a broader talk that is supposed to serve as inspiration for companies to see, what can I even do with virtual clusters? It's really going to highlight a couple of interesting use cases and show examples of, real world use of virtual clusters that, very kind of frontier tech companies have already started today. And hopefully, the next wave of Kubernetes companies will start exploring these areas in the future. And I hope, this talk can be an inspiration for that.
Lucas, thank you so much for taking time out today and talk about your talk at the upcoming KubeCon event. As I said, I won't be there because of some personal injury, but I look forward to, of course, talking to you folks. And hopefully by next year, everything will normalize and we will start seeing each other in person at these events. So thanks for your time today and good luck with the talk.
Thank you, Swapnil. I hope your leg is going to be better soon. And yeah, very much looking forward to connect in person, hopefully at KubeCon Europe next year.